Change from the inside out. One simple technique that works. Let me ask you something real and raw. Have you ever changed your job, your habits, your relationships, even your appearance, only to feel like you're stuck in the exact same life? That's because change doesn't begin with a new routine. It doesn't begin with a new location, a new diet, or even a new relationship. Real change, the kind that lasts, the kind that elevates, starts from the inside out. And in this speech, I'm going to give you one simple technique that has transformed broken lives, elevated the lost, and restored direction in people who thought they were too far gone. This isn't theory. This is truth backed by experience and results. So if you're tired of cycles, of starting over every Monday, if you're ready for a transformation that actually sticks, watch this till the end. Because the person you're trying to become, they already exist within you. They're just buried under the wrong thoughts, the wrong emotions, and the wrong focus. Let's fix that from the inside out. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to change your inner script. That quiet voice that narrates your day before the world even responds to you. Here's the technique. Identity, paid, affirmation with emotional anchoring. It sounds complex, but it's simple. Every morning and every night, you declare with emotion, I am becoming the kind of person who. Finish that sentence based on who you know you need to be. Not who you wish you were, not who you were yesterday, who you are becoming. That's the key. Why? Because your brain is always looking for consistency. If you say, I'm disciplined, your brain starts filtering opportunities to prove that. If you say, I always self-sabotage, your brain will filter those moments instead. It's not magic, it's mental alignment. Your inner words become the blueprint for your outer world. And don't just say it, feel it. Emotion is what hardwires belief. When you speak with conviction, your nervous system responds. Your posture shifts. Your mood lifts. Your confidence builds. You're no longer trying to act different, you're becoming different. But consistency is the fuel. Do this every day, 10 seconds in the mirror, 10 seconds in the car, 10 seconds before bed. Because a repeated truth becomes a new identity. And once your identity shifts, your habits will follow. Your relationships will change. Your decisions will align. Not because you're forcing it, but because it's who you are now. True transformation begins internally. Most people chase change in the wrong direction. They start on the outside, hoping it will fix what's broken within. They switch jobs, start new relationships, move to new cities, buy new things, or adopt new routines. But despite all these external changes, they still feel stuck, unsatisfied, and often confused as to why nothing seems to work. That's because external shifts, no matter how dramatic, cannot override internal dysfunction. The truth is, your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. What you believe about yourself, the thoughts you rehearse, and the emotional energy you carry, these things silently shape your reality every single day. If you believe deep down that you're not worthy of success, not capable of love, or not strong enough to overcome challenges, you will subconsciously sabotage anything that contradicts those beliefs. And even when good things come your way, you won't trust them. You'll either push them away or unconsciously destroy them because they don't match your inner picture of who you are. Transformation that lasts doesn't begin with a new goal. It begins with a new mindset. It begins when you pause long enough to confront your thoughts, your patterns, and your internal dialogue. What are you telling yourself every day? What beliefs are you feeding? Are you planting seeds of possibility or poison? It's easy to think change is about doing more, But real change is about becoming more. And becoming more starts from the inside. When you change how you see yourself. When you begin to believe you are disciplined, focused, loved, and chosen, you start to behave like it. And those behaviors begin to create the outcomes you've always desired, not through force, but through alignment. You cannot escape your inner world. You bring it into every conversation, every decision, every opportunity. So if you want your life to look different on the outside, you must first rewire what's happening on the inside. That's where the real power is. That's where the real shift happens. True change doesn't start with a new year, a new partner, or a new plan. It starts with a new you, from the inside out. One powerful technique can become the turning point in your life. In a world flooded with self-help advice, endless routines, and complicated strategies for growth, we often overlook the truth that lasting transformation doesn't require 100 steps. It only takes one simple, consistent practice applied with intention. That technique, when internalized and repeated, has the potential to completely rewire how you think, feel, and act. The reason most people fail to change is not because they're lazy or incapable, it's because they're overwhelmed. Too much information, too many voices, and too many expectations cloud the mind. But transformation was never meant to be chaotic. Simplicity is powerful, and when you find a single practice that speaks directly to your identity, your emotions, and your focus, you find clarity. That clarity becomes your compass. One simple technique can override years of negative conditioning. It can disrupt mental habits that have kept you stuck in cycles of defeat. Think about how often we unconsciously repeat the same inner dialogue. Statements like, "I'm not enough," "I'll never change," or "this is just who I am." These silent declarations become our default operating system. But the right technique can interrupt that programming and offer you a new script to follow. And the beauty is in its consistency. This isn't about one breakthrough moment or a temporary burst of motivation. It's about a daily commitment to train your inner world to respond differently. It's about speaking to yourself, not with judgment, but with direction. A technique rooted in identity and emotional engagement doesn't just change what you do, it changes what you believe. And belief is the engine of behavior. You don't need to learn 10 methods or adopt a complicated philosophy. You need one technique that connects directly with your core. One technique that, when practiced with emotional intensity and daily repetition, begins to shape your decisions, reactions, and habits. Because the secret to real transformation is not in doing everything, but in doing one thing well, consistently, and with conviction. That's how the shift begins. One simple technique, repeated with faith, can unlock the change you've been searching for. Emotions are signals, not dictators. They are messengers, not masters. Yet most people let their emotions run their lives. They wake up feeling anxious and assume the day is ruined. They get discouraged and think it means they're failing. They feel anger and act on it without pause. But the truth is, emotions were never meant to control you. They were meant to inform you. Every emotion you feel is feedback. It's your internal system trying to tell you something. A need is unmet, a value is violated, a boundary has been crossed, or a belief is being challenged. But when you treat emotions as truth instead of information, you make them more powerful than they should be. You allow temporary feelings to make permanent decisions. You let a moment of sadness convince you you're broken. You let fear stop you from stepping forward. You let insecurity define your worth. Emotional maturity starts when you stop reacting and start listening. Ask your emotions what they're trying to reveal instead of letting them dictate how you live. If you're angry, what boundary was crossed? If you're afraid, what risk are you facing? And is it real or imagined? If you're discouraged, are you judging yourself too soon? By turning your emotions into data instead of drama, you take your power back. This shift doesn't mean you become cold or numb. It means you become aware. You learn how to sit with your emotions without being swallowed by them. You learn to feel deeply but respond wisely. You stop being a puppet to emotional impulses and start being a leader of your own inner state. One of the greatest forms of discipline is emotional control. Not suppression, but management. The ability to feel fully, process clearly, and choose your response intentionally. That's where strength lives. That's where peace is built. Because once you stop letting emotions dictate your actions, you become unstoppable. You can show up in storms without being shaken. You can face failure without folding. You can lead others without projecting your chaos. Emotions are part of the journey, but they are not the steering wheel. They are your compass, not your commander. Let them speak, but don't let them rule. That's the beginning of emotional freedom. Your thoughts shape your life more than anything else. Every action you take, every word you speak, every decision you make, it all begins in the mind. What you dwell on becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes how you live. That's why mastering your thought life isn't just helpful, it's essential. You cannot build a powerful life on weak thoughts. The average person has thousands of thoughts a day, but most of them are repetitive and unconscious. They aren't new ideas, they're recycled narratives, stories you've been telling yourself for years. I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm always behind. These aren't just random thoughts, they're mental scripts. And as long as you keep rehearsing them, they keep writing the story of your life. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant intentionally, weeds grow by default. Negative thoughts are the weeds. They don't need permission to show up. They grow out of fear, doubt, trauma, and insecurity. But just like a garden, your mind can be cultivated. You can pull out the lies and plant new truth. You can choose thoughts that build you, not break you. You can learn to catch a toxic thought before it becomes a toxic belief. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's about not letting them build a home. When you learn to take your thoughts captive, you gain control over your emotional state, your self-permission, and your direction. You begin to filter what you allow to stay. If a thought doesn't serve your growth, your peace, or your purpose, it doesn't belong. This process takes practice. It requires awareness and discipline. But the more you train your mind to focus on what is true, strong, and possible, the more you begin to live from that place. You start to see challenges as opportunities. You start to believe in yourself at a deeper level. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your thinking. So if you want to change your life, start with your thoughts. Guard them, feed them, replace what's broken with what's empowering. Because when you win in your mind, you win everywhere else. The stories you tell yourself every day are shaping your identity, your confidence, and your future. Whether you realize it or not, there's a constant narrative playing in your mind, a quiet voice repeating lines about who you are, what you're capable of, and what life will give you. These stories are not just words. They are scripts that guide your behavior, filter your opportunities, and determine your limits. If your internal story says, "I'm not smart enough," you'll avoid challenges. If your story says, "People always leave me," you'll sabotage relationships before they can grow. If your story says, "I can't change," you won't even try. And over time, these inner monologues become your truth. Not because they're accurate, but because they've been rehearsed so many times, they feel real. But here's what most people never understand. Your story is not fixed, it's editable. Just like a movie script can be rewritten before filming, your internal narrative can be changed before it becomes your reality. The moment you decide to stop repeating the old damaging script, and start speaking a new one, you interrupt the cycle. You begin to form a new identity, not based on past failures or fears, but on future vision and faith. You must become the author of your own mind. That means questioning every narrative that holds you back. Where did that thought come from? Is it true? Who benefits from you believing it? You'll often find that the stories you've been living by were never really yours. They came from wounded parents, bad teachers, careless words, painful moments. But just because they were planted doesn't mean you have to keep watering them. Changing your story doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means being honest about your pain, but refusing to let it define you. It means choosing a script that empowers you rather than imprisons you. Every day, you get to decide what kind of story you'll tell about yourself. One of defeat or one of purpose. One of excuses or one of strength. One that repeats the past or one that builds the future. Your story has power, but only if you take control of the pen. Speak life. Speak possibility. Speak identity rooted in growth and truth. Because the words you rehearse internally become the world you live in externally. Your environment is silently shaping who you are becoming. Most people focus on changing their habits, their mindset, or even their appearance. But they overlook the space and atmosphere they live in every single day. Your environment includes more than just the physical space around you. It includes the voices you listen to, the energy you absorb, the conversations you entertain, and the people you allow access to your mind and emotion. You cannot expect to grow if you're planted in toxic soil. You can have the right intentions, the right strategies, and the right vision, but if your environment contradicts your goals, your progress will always be slow, painful, or unsustainable. It's like trying to heal in the same place that made you sick. Eventually, your environment will override your willpower. The people around you play a massive role in your personal evolution. If you're surrounded by people who are bitter, small-minded, distracted, or emotionally unstable, you will start to mirror that energy, even if unintentionally. Energy is contagious. You pick up on more than you think. The tone of a conversation, the fear in someone's voice, the lack of belief in their words, all of it enters your subconscious and slowly starts to alter your outlook. This is why protecting your environment is not selfish. It's survival. You have to become intentional about who and what you allow to influence your internal state. Create a space that supports your growth, not sabotages it. Surround yourself with people who challenge your comfort zone, speak truth even when it's hard, and inspire you to reach higher. Fill your atmosphere with words, sounds, and visuals that feed your vision, not your fears. Even the design of your room, your workspace, your daily digital input, they matter. Cluttered spaces create cluttered minds. Constant noise robs you of reflection. Negative media keeps you reactive instead of creative. Your atmosphere must reflect the future you're trying to create. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you rise to the level of your environment. And if you're serious about lasting change, you can't just change your mind, you must change your surroundings. The more aligned your environment is with your purpose, the more effortless your growth becomes. Because real transformation isn't just about what's within you. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. It's the daily decision to act in alignment with your highest self, even when you don't feel like it. Most people wait for motivation, thinking that once they feel inspired, then they'll act. But that's backward. True change doesn't come from emotion. It comes from consistency. And consistency is built on discipline. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your routines. If your life feels stuck, it's not because you lack potential. It's because your daily habits don't match your vision. Discipline is what connects your intentions to real-world results. It's waking up early when your bed feels like